So the first 4 or 5 slides, we're going to deal with a lot of vocab words. The first 4 or 5 slides are what's going to help you with your homework tonight. So eventually in this section we're going to get into graphing, but we're not graphing today. We're just really going to focus on the terms that we see show up. So first thing is quadratic functions. A quadratic function is any function, so a function would be like f of x is equal to anything that has an x squared. So anytime we see an x squared, that is a quadratic function. So this is one of our first vocab words, quadratic function, anything that's an x squared. Remember, f of x is just a fancy way of saying y. So sometimes we see it as y, sometimes we see it as f of x, sometimes we see g of x. It all means the same thing. All we're really looking at is the equation behind it. All right, next we have a parabola. A parabola is the graph of a quadratic function. So again, quadratic function is anything that's x squared. Anytime we see an x squared, our graph is going to be in the shape of a parabola, which is a u. So a parabola is the shape, and that is a U shape. So this U shape is called a parabola. All right, on this slide we have a lot more of our vocab. First we have vertex form. So our vertex form of our function, again our function, we just call it f of x, which is another way of writing y, just naming our formula. Our vertex form is a times x minus h squared plus k. So this is our vertex form. It's called vertex form because when our equation's in this form, we can easily see what our vertex is, and our vertex comes from that h and k. So our vertex of our parabola is h comma k. And our vertex is always going to be either the highest point or the lowest point. So here it's the lowest point because our parabola opens up. So it's always the hump, you could say, of the parabola. So this is our vertex. Next we have our axis of symmetry, which is a line that divides the parabola in two mirror images. The equation of the axis of symmetry is x is equal to h. So our axis of symmetry goes right through the middle of our parabola, and the formula is x is equal to h. So it's always going to be a vertical line right down the middle. Symmetry means that it's equal on both sides. If something's symmetrical, it's the same on both sides. So axis of symmetry, we have the same parabola on both sides, same shape. Next, we have the domain. The domain of a parabola is always all real numbers. So on a test or quiz, it's going to ask you what's the domain of every single graph. Your answer is always going to be all real numbers. Domain is always all real numbers. The range, when our parabola opens up, our range is going to be from k to infinity. And we put a bracket on k because this means we include k. So k is going to be some real number. And since infinity is not a real number, we put a parentheses there. So when our parabola opens up, our range is k to infinity. And then when our parabola opens down, our range is from negative infinity to k. So this page here is super helpful pretty much for everything we do in this section. Tomorrow, the questions when we're going to graph, it's going to tell us to name the vertex, the axis of symmetry, the domain, and the range. Always refer back to this page to tell you what is what. This page is super helpful. All of these are your vocab words. Think about it. When you take a vocab test, you always want to have, if you can, the definitions in front of you to help you out for your vocab. These are like the definitions of everything. This will help you answer your questions. Ready to move on to the next page? So first we're going to look at parent function. Our parent function is just a basic x squared graph. Now we take our parent function and we apply transformations to it. So if we had like a +2, our graph is now being transformed into something else. So we just take our parent function and move it to whatever the transformation is, which we'll get to the transformations on the next page. But this is just our basic parent function of a parabola. Our vertex, we said, was h comma k. H is anything that's being added or subtracted on the inside of our parentheses. K is what's being added or subtracted outside of the parentheses. So here, do we have anything that's added or subtracted? In this x squared, is anything added or subtracted in this formula, in this equation? What is? Do we have anything here? No, it's just x squared. There's nothing being added or subtracted. So our h is 0 and our k is 0. We have no h and k. So our vertex of our parent function is just 0, 0. It's at the origin. Our axis of symmetry is x is equal to h. What did we say our h was?
0.
0. So x is equal to 0 is our axis of symmetry. So for our parent function, our vertex is 0, 0, and our axis of symmetry is x is equal to 0. 4, in case you missed it the first time. So guys, use the next 10 minutes to start working on the homework. I see 13 people opened it up, so that means 18 people have not. So make sure I can see exactly who accesses it through the website. So make sure you're getting it through the website, not just from a friend, because then I'm going to think that you got your work from somebody else. Then you'll get a 0. So make sure you access it through the website.
Ms. Carver, how do we turn it in when we're done?
Through Canvas. So there's an assignment on Canvas, and I even posted the instructions for you too that say get it through the Savvis website and upload it here.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just take a screenshot of it and then put that into Notability?
Yep, you can do that.
Okay.
I can just see like who opens up the assignment, so just make sure you're opening it up and not just getting it from somebody else. So everybody in here has it and was able to access it? Yes? You guys still asleep in here? Still on Christmas vacation? Super.
Oh, I'm sorry, my volume was low. Is the password in all caps?
Yeah, AMHS, all caps, and then 2020.
Oh, it didn't work when I did that, but I'm gonna check it.
Okay, try again. Let me know. I can reset it because maybe you had an account before, so your password could be different. But just let me know.
This Carter.
Yep.
Can I see the website again? So
Yes.
I can maybe try to get it again.
Yes, try again. Daniela, I'm going to email it back to you. So.
We turn it into Canvas, right?
Yep, you'll turn it into Canvas. Okay, so on Canvas, if you look at the screen, I'm showing you guys my Canvas. You got the notes from here, the assignments due right below it. If you open it up, it says access the assignment on the Savvis Realize website. The assignment's called 4.1 Vocabulary Support. Download into Notability, complete and upload here. So you're going to upload it to Canvas, right here.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not letting me log in.
Okay, I'll reset your password and try again. So just give me 1 second. Okay, Sucre, try again. AMHS, all caps, 2020.
Try again, the same username and password?
Yep, same username. So your username is...
iSucre and then my ID number.
It's iSucre, your ID number, so 25783. And then the password's AMHS 2020.
And all caps.
All caps, yep.
Okay.
All right, so we have 15 people that started it and 16 that did not. So those 16 people better get it started.
It worked. Thank
Awesome. All right, so anybody still not able to get into the website? All right, if you guys have gotten into the website and started on the homework, you are free to go. Have a great day. See you all tomorrow.
Bye, Miss Carver.
Bye, Miss Carver.
Bye, Miss Carver. Have a great day.
Bye, you too.
Bye, Miss Carver.
Thanks, Scar.
Bye, guys.
Good night, Tom. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
When I get the homework, do I press chapter 4?
So, let me see. The homework should be like the only thing under assignments. So if you open up assignments, and then it's 4.1 vocabulary support. That's what it's called.
Do we turn it in on Canvas or
Turn
on
it
the
in
website?
on Canvas.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Awesome. Ryan, Wendell, Samantha, any questions? All right, so next we have our vertex form. The numbers in our vertex form, these A, H, and K's, are always going to be some type of number, and it's going to tell us what type of transformation we're doing to our parent function. So our A out front tells us that if we have a reflection, or it'll tell us if we have a stretch or compression. If A is negative, we have a reflection. So if there's a negative sign in front of the A, we have a reflection. That means we take our smiley face parabola and flip it upside down. So this is a reflection. If A is greater than 1, we have a stretch. And if A is a fraction, so if it's in between 0 and 1, so if it's a fraction, we have a compression. So a stretch would happen if we had our basic parabola like this, and we take it and stretch it out. So we're just stretching it vertically. So our new parabola would just become taller and skinnier. So this is a stretch. And then a compression would take our basic parabola and compress it down so it becomes shorter and fatter. So this would be a compression. Next, we move on to the H. The H is going to be what's added or subtracted inside of the parentheses. So just think H is inside the house. If H, let's say it's a -2 inside. If it's negative, we move it to the right. If it's positive, we move it to the left. So H tells us if we're moving left or right. If it is positive, we move it to the left. If it's negative, we move it to the right. And then K tells us if we move up or down. If it's positive, we move up. If it's negative, we move down. So again, this page is super duper helpful, especially for what we're doing today. We're going to get into some examples, and this page, if you screenshot it, split screen to have it next to you for these examples, super helpful.
Wait, so H for H, left is up?
Left,
Left is bottom?
so if it's a plus a number, that means you move to the left. If it's minus a number, you move to the right. So when it's inside the parentheses, it's kind of the opposite of what you would think. And again, your vertex is h comma k. Any other questions on this? If it's minus, it tells us we move to the right. So everybody sees that we have a minus, so we're moving to the right. This page just shows you what a reflection, stretch, and compression are. So I said this on the last slide, but A determines all three of these. So whether you have a reflection, a stretch, or a compression. If A is negative, you have a reflection. If A is greater than 1, you have a stretch. And if A is in between 0 and 1, meaning that it's a fraction, you have a compression. So let's say, I'm going to say example 1. Our number out front was 4. So we have 4 times x squared. What would be happening here if we're multiplying a 4 out front? Do we have a reflection, a stretch, or a compression? Is 4 negative? No, so it's not a reflection. Is 4 greater than 1? Yeah, so this tells us we have a stretch. I'm going to do another example here. So let's say this was negative 7x squared. So it's a reflection because it's negative. Once we say that this negative makes it a reflection, we only look at the number here to tell us if it's going to be a stretch or compression. So is 7 greater than 1? Yes, so it is a stretch. So here we have a reflection and a stretch. So some people in the last class were saying, but it's negative 7. Negative 7 is less than 1. Once we say that that negative is a reflection, we only look at the number. We don't look at the negative anymore. Any questions on this part? Okay, on the next slide, these are just translations. So horizontal, our H tells us that we move left or right. And then vertical would be our K that tells us if we move up or down. So these are just some examples of moving left or right or up or down. All right, so now we're going to look at our first example. So I'm going to rewrite our vertex form up at the top. So we have f of x is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. So this came from slide number 5. That really helps with the problems we do today, so it helps to have it in front of you. So do we have an a in our problem? Is there anything out front that's being multiplied? Do we have a number out front here that's being multiplied? Yes, no, maybe. No, we don't. So we don't have an a. We can skip that. Now let's move on to our h. We have a minus 2 on the inside. Does minus 2 tell us that we move left, right, up, or down? Inside, do we move left or right or up or down? Which one?
Right and down.
Well, inside tells us that we move left or right. And if it's a minus 2, let's go back to that slide with everything. So minus 2 tells us we move to the right 2. So we're taking our parent function and just shifting it to the right 2. And then last thing we need to look at is our k. K tells us that we move up or down. So if we have a plus 4, are we going up 4 or down 4? up 4. So our answer here is right 2 and up 4. So if we were to graph this function here, we just take our parent function, so that parent parabola that we saw on side 3, I think it was. So our parent function, and we just shift it to the right 2 and up 4, and that's our graph. Any questions here? Ready for the next one? All right, again, I'm going to write the vertex form at the top. So we have f of x is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. Do we have an a in our problem here? Anything being multiplied out front? No. So we can skip a. Do we have anything added or subtracted inside? The -4. So if we have a -4, does that tell us we're moving left, right, up, or down?
Right.
Perfect. We are moving to the right 4. So since it's a -4 on the inside, we move to the right 4. So minus tells us that we move right. Okay, and lastly we have k. This tells us if we move up or down. Do we have anything added or subtracted on the outside? No. So our answer here is just right 4. Any questions on this one? All right, again, I'm going to write the vertex form at the top. So we have f of x is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. Do we have an a here? Anything being multiplied out front? Yeah, so we have this -7. What does the negative tell us? A reflection. And then what does the 7 tell us? Remember, if it's multiplied out front, we either care if it's a whole number or if it's fraction. Perfect. So it's a reflection and it stretches. Next, we move on to our h. We have a -1 on the inside. So what does this tell us? Awesome, that we go to the right one. And then we have a plus k. What does this +1 on the outside tell us? Awesome, up 1. So these are 4 transformations that are happening here. This is our answer. This is where we're going to stop for the notes today. We're going to do the next, I think we have 3 slides left. Yep, the next 3 slides tomorrow. Any questions from the notes? We're not turning them in, so do not turn in the notes today.
Are we gonna go over this tomorrow again?
Yes,
Okay, 'cause I didn't really understand.
we'll go over it more tomorrow. So make sure that you guys were able to get into that Savis account and you get your homework from there. So for the few people that were late to class, I'm going to pull up the instructions again. Let's see. So I think Samantha and Amandine were late. So guys, make sure you do this. Your homework is on this Savas website. Savas, I think. The Savas website. So make sure you're able to get on because you need to do your homework from the website. So from the website, you're going to open it up into Notability and upload it there.
Can you put up I think it's the fourth slide after the instructions?
Yeah. Yeah, Isabel, so you need to follow the instructions here because the homework's not on Canvas. You have to get it through this website and then you'll upload it to Canvas. So this is the only place you can find the homework.
Okay, thank you.
So just make sure. Some people already had an account, so if it tells you that your password's wrong, let me know and I can reset your password if you don't remember it from before. Okay, so